Welcome to Design Diary, the podcast where you get to look inside my board game design notebook as well as what's going on inside my head. We look at a new word each day from the sense of mechanics, tone, theme, or inspiration for a full game. Today's word is
Mansuetude. The quality or state of being gentle, meekness or tameness. That word is Mansuetude. Mansuetude. Let's hear it.
Mansuetude.
Keep saying it, doesn't sound like anything I've ever heard. Mansuetude. It sounds like a pun for a man with attitude or something. But no, it's being gentle, meek or tame. So my notes, I have being gentle, meek or tame. And then I looked at gentle waters. To tame the waters is a cool concept. Trying not to let my Jersey accent come out. To tame the waters is a cool concept. Taming a wild die is another interesting approach. Being able to reduce the randomness and add mitigation is a neat approach to tame. A gentle action. I tried to figure out what a gentle action was. So it's a light or slight difference, a slight move or adjustment, something that might not offset things in a major way, where you're maybe trying to make adjustments without being seen or caught. And I can't remember the name of it, and I just saw it today, but there's that it's not cockroach poker, but it's in that line of games, and it's a game where you have to. It's cheating moth. That's what it's called. And you have to hide your cards. You have maybe start out with like 10 cards, and you can play them down and get rid of them, but eventually want to be the first one out of cards. But the one rule is that you can cheat. You can cheat if you don't get caught. So you can, hide your cards under the table, toss them somewhere, as long as you don't get caught doing it. So slight or meek, gentle moves made me think of that, because you have to be pretty slick and time it right just to get ahead in that game. So digging deeper into the gentle or meek, I thought of being rewarded for doing less than you're allowed. So let's say you get 4 actions and you only take 3. You get something extra. Now, if you really want to implement that, it sort of becomes another action. So it sort of loses its connection, and its appeal is just no action is the other action that gives you this. But I like the idea of being rewarded for not going all the way. And I wrote, ultimately, that makes me think of dexterity. Just gentle is a gentle movement, so that a structure doesn't topple, in any kind of stacking game, you have to be Mansuetude to get it right. But I went with, I started to do a little riff on gentle giant. And I can hear myself getting sick. This is not good. Just like I can hear it. I didn't hear it all day until I put these headphones on. But gentle giant. So thinking dexterity, the gentle part is stacking. And the giant part is that you're stacking a larger piece on top of a smaller one each time you go to stack. I imagine starting small with like a die, like something like a regular sized die. And I kept thinking cube for some reason. I never thought any shape but a square. So keep that in mind as we build this, which is the least gentle or tame of the shapes. It's very harsh. But imagine starting with a regular sized die, and then you go bigger. So I place my die, and the next time I decide to place something, I have to go with bigger than that. So maybe about the size of, if you've seen like a fidget cube, it's like double the size of like a regular die, if not bigger. Eventually you work your way up to like a Rubik's Cube. So you've got this die with a fidget cube on top and a something else, and then a Rubik's Cube on top of that, and you're just kind of building the structure, and the gentle giant is the thing that you're placing in the act of placing it gently. I also went with square, and I made a note that it's obvious which is larger. So if you have things of different shapes, it's hard to tell which one is actually bigger than the other one. Like something that's egg-shaped and something that's, long and rectangular might be difficult. Although there's ways to get around that with color and numbering and things like that. But eventually, balance will be lost and your structure will fall. And my notes ended there, but I thought a lot longer about this. But I was driving and I couldn't write it down. So I'm just going to explain what I thought. So we're going off the diary here, off the record, I guess. But I had thoughts about this dexterity game, and I've been thinking about this a lot lately, where you are, building your structure, and part of it is when things fall, other events are going to happen. And I haven't played it, but I heard Flick 'em Up does something along those lines. Is it Flick 'em Up? I think it's Flick 'em Up. I don't know. I haven't played it. So what I thought was you've got these structures, and on top of the large piece, so my Rubik's Cube's on top, you can place little tiny, I was even thinking cube, like wooden cube size. And what happens is when the whole structure falls, where those land is going to impact the game in some way. And I thought that you could place them on your own or somebody else's structure. And everybody's building their own structure, and it's in their little land. So I picture it like little cities, and this is a monument in the center of the city. And we're putting these little tiny cubes on top. If I put them on top of mine, what it does is it builds up the potential for if mine falls and where they land and things like that. If I put them on top of yours, what I thought was it could reset your size. So now you have to build little tiny, on top of these little tiny cubes, which could be awkward if it was a finite amount of pieces. So you've got everything from the size of a tiny cube all the way up to a Rubik's Cube or maybe even larger. And if you've played your, all your small to medium ones, and I throw a little tiny cube up there, you've got to throw your Rubik's Cube size one on top. So it gets tricky. But the whole point of all this was I said, if I cause a structure to fall, and I'll jump in real quick, was I thought you could build on any structure, not just your own. And you might not even have ownership. You might have ownership of the land below. And I thought that's where it got really cool, was you're doing this dexterity game, but everybody's kind of, doing this either area control or just kind of hoping for the best with where things are going to land. But the idea that I had was if you cause something to land, all the things that fall are bad. Let's say it's just like lava falling down or something like that. So it hurts the land below. And if your opponent causes something to fall, it's like seeds or something planting onto your land, and it's good. And I can't think of a thematic way to tile that together, and there might be if I sat down and really thought about it. And even with that, there's some weird things about if I knock something down in your area, or you knock it down in my area, and where we're knocking it down, and if we're building in all these different areas, I feel like there's some complications in it. Especially, there's always a complication in if you knock something down and it's good, because it's very simple to knock it down, and it will happen all the time if it's a good thing. So I think that it's always a bad thing for you if you knock something down. But if your opponent knocks it down with your things on top, maybe they help you out. I don't know. Gentle Giant is placing something larger on top of something smaller, and I tried to work it into something bigger with a map where we're claiming areas, and then you have these little tiny cubes that you put on top. And I imagine this big like Rubik's Cube or something even bigger with all these little tiny cubes on top, like forming. It's like almost like a little city. I don't know. I had cool visions of this weird city in the clouds, growing thing with these little tiny cube people on top, and then it crashing down, and then becoming seeds or volcanic ash, or it kind of sprawls off from there. But you probably get the idea. Be gentle when you place your large cubes. All right, so that's today. That's our design diary for the day. If you have something better for Mansuetude, or if you've ever even heard the term Mansuetude, please let me know. All right, see ya. Thanks.